But let's also bring on board not just Ashwin Patil, we have another analyst on the phone line with us, Bharat Gianani. He joins in from Angel Broking to analyze the numbers. And Bharat, what's been your first take on Bajaj Auto? Bharat, is my voice reaching you? We seem to have lost that line. Ashwin, I want to come to you then. What about the stock? What's your last quoted recommendation? And post this numbers, do they merit any rating change or any tampering with the price targets?
See, the numbers have come slightly above our expectations. There is no big deviation from what we were expecting. So, and we were holding a neutral rating on the stock with a target close to 2450, somewhere close to that. So we are maintaining. Currently, I need to revisit the numbers, but still, I don't think that I'll be changing the estimates to a great extent. I may be maintaining a neutral rating on the stock only.
The market is getting the finer details and nuances of the numbers. That's getting reflected, in the stock as well. Now we are down over 1.5% on a Bajaj Auto. What a knock the stock has taken in a matter of just a few minutes. So 23.20 right now on a Bajaj Auto and counting. In the press release, they've also mentioned that 4 countries, or rather 5 countries, Ashwin, are seeing good traction. They've said Iran, Nigeria, which everyone had been talking about, as well as Colombia, Mexico and Peru are seeing, an increasing market share. Do you think the company would continue to be able to grow at the current pace for the overseas markets, these specific markets? Would they be able to better it as well? Because those Nigeria concerns have been discussed quite extensively.
Nigeria is one of the major markets for Bajaj Auto, and these concerns are there. So the company is saying that they have increased the market share in Nigeria and other markets. I think that maybe like competition is also growing over there from the Chinese players in the Nigerian markets, like two-wheeler players are from China are holding a good share of the market share. So in the Latin American markets, the overall market is actually stabilized. It's sort of a stagnant market. So in such markets, increasing market share is a good thing. But going forward, we need to see whether they'll be doing any new launches or what would be their strategy to increase the market share. Because profitability is one that is getting hit in these markets. But maybe volume gains can in a way salvage the price.
And, plus these markets that Megha just highlighted, in any case, are going through an economic slowdown. It's not like they're momentum markets. They're all facing a crunch on their balance sheets and GDP figures, all thanks to the way crude prices have crashed. So they're not quite growth markets in any case. That's Bajaj Auto. The stock is, Yatin, been all over the place. A spike of 1.5%, and it's now down 1.5%, a swing of almost 3% in just the last few minutes or so. Seems like it's going to remain in a downturn, at least in the near term.
Well, Aisha, if you look at it, and as you rightly mentioned, the fortunes of various African countries as well as various South American countries are linked to commodities and crude. And in a scenario wherein crude prices are down, commodity prices are crashing, the overall political situation in certain South American countries and in African countries is not that great. Probably there would be challenges for Bajaj Auto in the export market, which are quite profitable. So if you look at the mix also, they have been able to garner higher margins in the export markets. Especially when the dollar, to the rupee equation is in the favor of the company. But now what happens is the company has also gone on record and accepted the fact that because of non-availability of dollars, they are finding it quite difficult, to get payments from these countries. And we have central banks also of these countries intervening, devaluing currency. That is also a negative point for companies like Bajaj Auto. And as Ashwin was also mentioning that the Chinese competition in certain African market is quite intense. So the realization would be under pressure going forward for Bajaj Auto. And export markets, which is 1/3 of their sales, has concerns which are there for the last 2 quarters. But there is no respite in the domestic market. So clearly at this point in time, the new launches or probably some price cuts would revive the demand going forward. But as of now, the concern really is the export markets, because of which there could be some margin and profit pressure in the near term.
Right. We've also got Ashish Podar of joining in as well. Well, Ashish, what's your sense and your reading on the numbers? Because optically, the numbers came in ahead of what everyone seemed to have been building in. Margins had improved. The bottom line as well came in ahead of expectations. But the stock is now just taken a nosedive and is off by about 1.5%.
Yes, I actually seen the granular numbers, but whatever I can see from your classes, that while revenues have come in line, the beat on the EBITDA and net front. While EBITDA margin 21%, while we're expecting at 20.6%. So there's a beat on there, and also the other income, which has come 100% crore above our estimate. While we were expecting a net profit of about 780 crores, it has come to at around 900 crores. So to me, from the expectation perspective, I think numbers are good, looking at the current environment.
Okay, we'll let you go then, Ashish, on that note. Thanks much for taking the time out and analyzing Bajaj Auto's performance. The stock has really been all over the place. Let's just bring out the intraday graph of Bajaj Auto. Spiked up post its numbers and now completely cooling off. Bajaj Auto is currently at 23.31 as we speak. Avinash, you've been hearing the analysis on Bajaj Auto. What's the take, and does it seem like the stock is going to continue to be an underperformer because the export markets are a problem? They will continue to be so because the exposure countries that they have, in any case, are facing so much problem because of the crude crash.
No, I think numbers were slightly better than the street estimates, especially on the EBITDA margin front. But if you see the domestic market, I think last 2 quarters have been quite bad, and I think going forward also the domestic market is unlikely to show any big volume kind of improvement. So that is a big worry. And secondly, the Nigerian markets, where they have a 1/3 market share, I think the currency problem is going to get more and more bad. I think the economy is in a mess. Oil prices have come down, so I think clearly there is going to be a kind of a chaos, especially for the Nigerian market, and that is going to have a dent on their profitability, possibly in FY17. So I think it's probably better to wait and watch. I think these numbers are not going to excite somebody to immediately go and buy Bajaj Auto. Probably the two-wheeler market would remain, to continue to underperform at least for a couple of quarters.
Yeah, I need to get in some more clarity on, what the management commentary is with regards to the forex problems that they've highlighted in their press release that they continue to face. But Bharat, before we let you go, your rating on the stock, and would it change at all with these numbers? We seem to have lost that line. But gentlemen, good chatting with you on Bajaj Auto's performance. Ashwin as well as Bharat, let you go on that note. Let's just revisit what the market is up to. We've cooled off a wee bit. So after making it a dash rather to that 74.50 mark, we've cooled off a wee bit from that top. More importantly, look out for